You can use a graphing calculator to quickly compare pairs of numbers or lists or equations by pressing the Math button, scroll to the right. This is the number column. You'll see the command min here. That's number 6. So if I were to command the numbers 2.12 and 2.13, with the minimum command, if I press enter, it returns the smaller of the two numbers. You can do the same for any pair of objects. For example, if we look at a list, so I have some lists entered in here, and of course you can enter those as well, but if you want to look, we can take a look. So under, if I press the Stat button, press Edit, you can see these two lists, and they can be complicated, but these are simple. List 1 and List 2. List 1 has the numbers 1, 2, and 3. List 2 has the numbers 4, 5, and 6. So if I enter these two lists in, it'll actually compare the two lists, and for each term, it'll tell you what the corresponding smallest number is. It'll compare 1 and 4 and tell me that 1 is smaller. It'll compare 2 and 5 and tell me that 2 is smaller, and so forth. So how do I do that? Well, I enter the minimum command again, so I'm going to press second enter, recall what I just had. Actually, no, that's too slow. I have to delete too much there, which would be annoying, so I'll press min again, and here. Second list, pick list 1. So if I leave list 1 up there and just press enter, it'll actually give me the smallest term on the list, which is also useful. So you have a lot of numbers to compare, put them into a list, use the minimum command on that list, and it'll give you the smallest number in the bunch. It's a pretty quick way of doing it. Here, if you just enter the numbers in, you can't enter in more than a pair. It'll just give you an error argument. But you can enter more numbers into a list and then compare it that way. So anyway, if we enter second enter, list 1's right there. If I also enter in list 2, second stat, list 2, it'll compare these two lists, and for each corresponding pair, it gives me the smaller of the two numbers. Now if you want to enter in a list manually, you don't want to go into the list command by pressing stat and then edit. If you're on the home screen, what you would do is press, well, in math, you press math, go to your min, the 6th option right there. Oops, passed right by it. I'll just press 6. And you want to compare a list of numbers, but you don't have it inputted already. Just use these little brackets right here. Not the normal brackets in the calculator. Press second and bracket. And now you can enter a list. 1, 2, and 3. Close the brackets, enter a comma, and now you can compare to another list or a single number. So say I'm comparing each of these to the number, well, let's make it more interesting. Compare each of them to the number 2. Press enter, and what's it going to do? Well, it compared 1 and 2, and it determined that 1 is smaller. Then it compared 2 and 2, and since they're equal, it returns the lowest value, which is 2. And then it compared 3 and 2, and it returned the lowest value, which is 2. And you can keep going with this. I mean, if you want to, for example, I think I mentioned you can enter expressions. You can, or I might have said equations, but I meant expressions. If I want to enter 6 plus 6 versus, let's say, 2 plus 2, right? Which of these is smaller? Well, 4 is smaller. And again, if you try to enter in more than two numbers or more than a pair, it'll give you an error. So for example, let's try that. If I hit math, number 6, if I enter 1, 2, 3, here it won't allow me to do that. So if you want to enter more than two numbers, enter a list either by using these parentheses or going to the stat and then edit button. I hope this helped.